Good morning. It's a beautiful Friday morning. Just getting started out here this morning. And let's see, it is 4 a.m. It's about the time to get up and start being successful for the day. Remember, the key to all success is get up, be motivated, work hard all day, sleep. That's it. End of speech. So, I had a friend of mine. Well, he's new. He's a new acquaintance working on becoming a friend. It's like I explained to him. I said, becoming my friend is a hard, long, drawn-out process because I've had so many people that have abused that friendship. Anyhow, the ability to have friends is complicated on my level of things because everybody wants to run their mouth. But it is what it is. I got too many dang projects going on right now at this minute. About 6 things I got to do today. And this is one of them. This is one of my prized possessions. This is what I call my walk-around bird meter. This was my very first bird meter with a peak kit 10 years ago. Plus. And it was actually on loan to me from my friend Gary. Gary, very influential friend of mine. And I don't think he understood how influential he was. He's one of the people that encouraged me to start doing this for a living. Ish. Well, doing it for you guys to all enjoy anyhow. I got this bird meter, and he loaned it to me. And in the interim, I bought this one. This is the one I actually very first purchased. This is the very first one I had. Gary loaned me this one. And then he had me install the PEP kit on the side. Well, Gary has gone on to God. And he went on to God not too awful long after I got this meter and then I got this meter. And one of the things that I bought from his estate when he passed was this meter. Well, I've been kind of noticing that we had a problem with this case. Now, I love this case. It didn't have a blemish on it until this happened. But there are war wounds in this world. This might have been from me telling my wife to put it in the car and she set it next to something that banged into it on a road trip that we took. This case is in amazing condition otherwise. The leather's all nice and supple and happy and soft and pretty. It's just not black. I like my everything in black, but so last night I come out here and I had the Gary walk-around watt meter in its beautiful case, and I took it off of its storage position over there. I've got 2 or 3 of these 3 of these actually that I have that I use for walk-around meters. One's average, one's peak, and then I've got the third one as a spare that's also a peak meter, but with a real bird peak kit. Remind you of anything? Anyhow. Remember, 1 is none, 2 is 1, 3 is even better, and 4th is even better, especially if it can be brought by another person. I went to go load up my slugs that I was going to use because I was going to a gentleman's house to take a look at his station. And my little foam pad had completely disintegrated in the last year since I've used this thing. That's all that's left of it. And as I touch it, it sits here and slowly disintegrates. So, just out of sheer reverence for this guy, a lot of people will be like, nah, just screw it. And they throw the little leather separator in there, and they just forget about it. Well, I'm not that kind of guy. I can't do that. So, what we're going to do this morning, before the day gets too awful long and very busy, is we're going to build ourselves a new separator for the back of our bird meters case. I thought I'd bring you guys all along for the ride. Now, what I have figured out by looking at other bird meters, let me go grab another bird meter in case over here. Believe it or not, I bought this case from Doc Adams. He doesn't know I bought it from him. He doesn't know. There's no clue of the scope and the depth of my reach. We were at I just bought the case from him. I bought the bird meter some other place. This is, damn, not even the right kind of case. They made ones that had 3 storage, ones that had 6, and then they had a vertical storage like this one. He was selling this at a Hamfest, and so when I go to the Hamfest, it's not just me, it's me and primarily one other guy, my buddy Zane Johnston. And then that particular year, we had a couple people working for us in the blind. And what we mean by that is we'll have people that are there buying for us. So we'll walk around, we'll see a deal on something or something that we want to buy, and we have them go over and negotiate to do the purchase, because if one of us shows up, usually the price gets jacked up a little bit. It's kind of screwed up, but it is what it is. So what I was going to show you was the stack height that we needed to do for the foam inserts. How this works is this fits like so, and it acts as a separator. So this is glued to this. This is glued to this. Then it all sits in here like so, and it's recessed in here flush like that. That's how this should work. In this case, needs a little bit of oil. It's starting to come apart. Do you wonder if I have that liquid technology around here? Right there, all-purpose boot, water penetrating beeswax oil. We're going to give this case a makeover, and we're going to love on it a little bit. Because for something that you never ever touch, but you got a lot of money wrapped up into it, might as well take a minute and help take care of it. I mean, really, how long does it take to smear some oil on something? So, back on topic, we're going to pull this insert out. And the first thing we need to do is create ourselves our spacer, which, when it is 27 degrees outside, and you get to use this unholy garbage, which is contact glue, is not a small feat in itself, but where there is a will, there is always a way. Now, the portions of this little tiny tutorial that I haven't shown on video is the stuff that would drive you guys crazy, which would be me taking my little tiny Ryobi handheld shop bag and sucking out the retired, worn out, sadder than sad foam backer, which had completely disintegrated, sucking that completely out of the top of the bird meter case. Figure you guys didn't want to pay attention to that. It's basically just using a vacuum. I'm sure you guys can all rally to that challenge. Although I did date a gal. Her name was Katrina. She was this little Asian chick, and she was absolutely a wonderful human being, but I'll never forget. Dude, I will never forget this. I laughed so hard. She was over spending the night and whatnot. And it was Thursday night, and every Thursday night I cleaned my entire house. Didn't matter what I had going on, I'd clean my whole house. As soon as I got off work, clean my house. And I got out my vacuum cleaner and started vacuuming. And she's like, "What is that?" "What's what?" She goes, "What is that?" "It's a vacuum cleaner." She goes, "A what?" She'd never seen one before. She come from a very special kind of family where everything was provided to them, and she'd just trying to get used to being out on her own, I guess would be the best way to put it. Anyhow, wonderful human being, just not somebody I want to spend the rest of my life with. Okay, so I remember when I was first learning how to use this, I used to spray it on and then slap down, just slap it onto whatever else I was going to glue to it. There's a couple tricks with using contact glue like this. We spray it and then we let it sit. hate this shit. It sticks to every goddamn thing. What we're waiting for is this stuff to actually cure. As it starts to flash off, the adhesive that is suspended in the aromatic smell can tell me that this is an alcohol based of some kind. As we're waiting for the alcohol to flash off, I remember I would spray this down, and I was doing the interior on my truck when I was doing car stereo, and the guys were like, "No." I'm like, "What do you mean?" You're like, "You gotta wait for it to tack up, dude. Don't you know anything?" I thought I did, but apparently I don't. You gotta wait for this to tack up and get sticky. You can't use anything that's heat-based on this style of foam. It'll just disintegrate the foam. So we can't use like hot glue or anything like that. See how this is still... Then the stuff that's flashed off on the edges is starting to stick. God, I hate this stuff. You get it on your hands, it takes 2 days to come off, no matter how much you wash. Unless you wash with something like alcohol or so forth. Anyhow, I took 2 pieces of this. It's too thick, so I took 1 piece and I cut it in half. And so it's going to be 1.5 pieces of 1/4 inch thick foam core, shipping foam core. We're getting close. See what I'm saying? Just got to give it a couple minutes to get tacky. So now that we got our foam spacer created, we've gone and we've scrubbed off the remnants of the foam pad that used to be present on the back of this thing. And what we're going to do is we're going to center this inside of our foam pad, and we're going to make ourselves some marks so we know where to die cut this thing. This by no means needs to be precise. What we do have to do is make sure not to put Sharpie on our leather. That's better. Now remember, when we get this all assembled, we don't actually want the foam. That's what we're looking for, is our little stippled template like this. We don't actually want the foam to touch the elements. We want the leather to do the retention portion of it. So now that we've got that done, let's go ahead and let's get ourselves some guide holes drilled out here. Now, what do I mean by guide holes? Well, it's real simple. I took a drill bit, not even in the drill, and just punched it right through the foam. So now what we're after is a nice clean cut. That's all we're looking for, is a nice clean cut. I don't know if I have that technology around here. I'd like to pretend that I do. I used this the other day to punch out my buddy's rubberized floor in his semi, and he just stood there and smiled. He's like, "Oh, it's so nice." See? Nice, cylindrical, clean hole. That's what we're looking for. So, as we are waiting for our die to set on our foam that we just punched out. Let's give this just a little bit of love with some oil. And this is purified beeswax oil, man. Add some suppleness back to this case. And the oil, this wax will just get absorbed right up into the leather. It's just going to drink it up. It's going to be like, oh, hey, man, thanks. I got one of these cases, God, I don't remember where it's at, where the hinge is just turned to dust because it's been so dry for so many years. And the strap's starting to fade on it. Everything. The handle's starting to fall apart. But the hinge is just dust. And I look at that and I go, well, it's a shame nobody knew how to take care of you, how to add oil to you and keep you from falling apart. We just let this sit, and this will slowly soak into the leather, and it'll look like brand new when we're done. All right. It's already got a good coat on it now. Let's let it sit for a while. All right, well, now that my shop smells like the inside of a Portland sex store, we're going to pretend like we know what we're doing because we're going to fake it till we make it. We're not going to spray adhesive onto the foam. We're going to move our leather off of our spray spot, so hopefully we don't have too much crossover of adhesive through the holes in the leather, which is important because we want to be able to put the slug in there and pull the slug out. And we don't want it to get all stuck in the hole. That's what she said. So you guys can clearly see it's only been about 30 minutes, and the leather has already soaked up most of this oil that we applied to it, and it'll soak up even more. I have to keep reminding myself that most of you guys that follow me are ex-military, and you know all about polishing leather and boots, shoes, straps, belts. Just saying. But this turned out okay. Polished all the stuff that we want to keep polished. So all we did is we glued the backer to the leather, and now we've got ourselves a nice element holder that will protect the element in the lid of the case. I think that turned out really pretty. It'll keep things going for another couple years. Like I said, I travel everywhere with this. When I go on a road trip, I take this meter with me, just out of sheer fondness and good positive memories of my friend Gary. But now that we smell like leather polish, and I did heat this up a little bit with the paint stripper gun, just kind of lightly gave it a little bit of warmness, help open up the pores of the leather. But one last little tip, you guys, with your bird meters, always store them with an actual official blank in them. Or if you do have to transport them with an element on board, transport it like this. With the arrow pointing up. Let me explain to you why. There's a tab that's on the inside of this thing. The blank is all metal. When you insert the blank, it takes the tab and it shorts it to ground. And what you're doing on the back of the bird element is you're taking the two terminals and you're shorting them out. As you're driving down the road, this meter is sitting there bouncing and wiggling and moving and shaking. Well, as this needle is moving through its arc of motion, it's creating a small electrical current. Well, if you short out these two terminals, the small electrical current that's being generated in the field, the coil that is wrapped around the magnet that drives the meter element, it helps protect the element from either getting bent or falling out of calibration just through the force of electricity and a snubbing off the electrical field on the back. It's food for thought. Always put a blank in, or if you have to have a bird meter in there and you don't have a blank, take and point the arrow up. And it takes this tab, there's a tab here and a tab here. And it shorts the tab, it takes the tab off of being conductive and it shorts it out, which gives us the highest form of resistance. It allows you to protect your bird meter from vibration damage in transport. The other thing is, I shared this with this gentleman that I met last night. He had this action going on where he had the clip turned 180 degrees out and his element was just kind of loosely sitting around in the hole. And I told him no. I said, let me teach you a couple little tricks, just one little trick. Insert your meter, or insert your element into the meter, latch it in place. And when you're ready to change it, pull it out, give it a little tiny clockwise twist. Just pull straight forward just a little bit, twist, and that latch, every single time, will pop free. Watch. Ready? Pull, twist. Latch, pull, twist. And his thing was I got tired of trying to flick this up with my thumbnail. Well, I understand that. I work with these things all day long, every day. Pull, clockwise, pops right out. It's the way it was designed to work, gentlemen. On that note, y'all have a good day. Try to be successful. It's 11:11 in the morning, and I'm off to the races and running. More YouTube porn to follow, I guarantee it. Big thanks to every single one of you guys. I'll see you.